Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
Hello, we have with us today here on Earrings Off, Maureen Ross Jim. Maureen is a leadership trainer. She's also a fellow podcaster. Her podcast is called Emerge, Evolve, Lead. We are honored to have Maureen with us today, who is going to share a bit of her knowledge and many years of experience with our audience. So again, welcome, Maureen, to the Earrings Off podcast.
Thank you, Lou. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I spent a lot of years in a regular corporate job. I had a fantastic career, 27 years. I lived up near Hartford, Connecticut there. I was working for the Hartford, and I really did have a great career. Yep, I raised a family, and all of that was wonderful. But it was really a challenge because I had very difficult teenage years. I really got into drinking and drugging and doing a lot of things I shouldn't be doing. And so I went down that very rocky path. I moved like 17 times between the ages of 17 and 25. So,
what?
Yeah, I moved from Connecticut to Texas. I took geographical cures. I tried all kinds of things to try to figure out who I was. And I finally, hit my bottom, as they say, when I was 24 years old. So I had a major transformation at 24. Then I moved back to Connecticut, but I did reach out and I got the help I needed to transform my life. And that's when I decided to get into personal growth and development. So alongside my career, I just went on this personal growth path. And this is why I love talking about personality types, helping people understand how to really develop their inner leader so that they can lead other people and make a bigger impact in the world.
So you have quite a story. But Maureen, tell us, what did it take to transition from a corporate career to reinvent yourself as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So while I was in my corporate career, I went back to school and I got my bachelor's degree in psychology in my 40s. And then I went on to get my master's in education with a focus on training and performance improvement. And that was in 2008. And I continued to grow. And I just sort of hit this, the glass ceiling, as they say in my company. I couldn't really go any farther. I was doing a lot of project management, leading teams across the country in training and communication and change management, but I really wanted to do more leadership training. I was training trainers and also mentors and such, but not leadership. So I left corporate in 2013 and I started my own business called Emerge Leadership Academy. But actually, for the first 2 years, all I did was life coaching because I felt like I needed a break from corporate, number one. It's like I just needed a break. So I did life coaching. I got some, as an education consultant, I created my own course and my own program. And I had so many years of recovery. Now I'm like 37 years clean and sober now. Right.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it does build. It never stops, right? We're never stop growing. I mean, you guys have a podcast, you meet such interesting people.
You do. Yeah, you do.
I'm not calling myself interesting, but
absolutely. You are.
You are. Yeah. But that's the thing, because I love that part about it. And as we continue to learn and grow, I'm finding that as I'm studying personality types, so I studied the Myers-Briggs type, the Enneagram, and now also everything DISC, so I consider myself an expert. And even though you and I might have the same personality type, we're always going to be very different people because of our values, our beliefs, our background, our culture, our, all of the things that we are, the roles that we play, and so forth. So I decided to get back into leadership because I felt like I really wanted to make an impact on leaders in corporate without having to go back to a corporate job. Mm-hmm. So I started training. All across New England, and it was not easy. Getting a paycheck every other week for 28 years, right? Yeah. And suddenly, as an entrepreneur, it's like, oh, I have to ask people for money. I have to price myself. I mean, it was a very difficult transition, but one that I accepted willingly and lovingly because it was exciting and I was constantly learning. I still hate the finance part of it, the bookkeeping and all that stuff. But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way because I get to do who I want. I get to work with who I want. And when COVID hit, all of my I had 70 training classes scheduled for 2020. And basically after a great January and February, everything canceled. And
But Maureen, it sounds like you are in high demand though.
Well, I was working as a subcontractor for a company, another training company.
Okay.
So the good part about that is they keep you busy. The bad part about that is they don't pay you that much.
Okay.
And the second bad part is I don't get to sell my book or my coaching program or let them even I don't even get to give out my business card. Right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because I'm just working for that company. And so I think that COVID really helped me because all those classes were canceled. That's when I shifted gears. We pivot like we need to do.
That's right.
And I created my course called Recovery at Work. And it's an online 2-month, 8-module course that now I coach my clients through and who are ready for a transition, who are ready for a transformation, especially in their career. Like if they're ready to step up into the next level of leadership in their career. And it's been very, very successful. And I have some wonderful success stories. But again, the hard part, that transition part is the marketing and trying to get myself out there and all the social media stuff.
Don't mention it.
I tell you, Maureen, you're right. When you said that a benefit, and I know I speak for Teresa when I say this as well, a benefit of doing the podcast that was unexpected was just the great people that we are meeting. I had no idea that the world would open up and I would meet these wonderful group of podcasters, fellow podcasters and women in business and in various careers. Just that has been an added bonus. But like you, the other piece is the money piece. Oh my goodness, we should have talked to you before. We did a conference last year and we had to, people had to pay money to come. That was so hard for us, setting the price point, actually putting that out there. So you're right. When you get out there on your own, it's you have to show a bit of courage to get out there.
Oh, indeed, we do.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Maureen, I'd like to go back and talk a little bit about something you mentioned earlier that piqued my interest. The everything DISC personality test or identifier, I think you called it. Yes. Can you talk a little bit about that? And is DISC a acronym?
Yes, it is. Well, yes. And so, all right, I'd love to share more about this. This particular model is, I think, the best personality indicator that you can use at work, because you can easily identify yourself within, we call it a map, right? There's 4 quadrants to the map, and you're either a D, I, S, or C. And now when I say that, you could easily be a combination of D and an I, or S and C, or I and S. But the thing about this is we have all of the different parts of the styles within us, but we have a natural tendency towards one or maybe two styles. Okay. And so as we get to know that part of ourselves at work, how we operate there gets a lot easier because you really hone in on your strengths and you know where you can provide a lot more value and you know when to pull in other types on certain projects that have other strengths that you might not have. It's not an excuse. It's not meant to pigeonhole anybody or any of that stuff. These are, generalized, but I've been training this for years now. I am an authorized partner with Everything Disc. You have to be a training company or a certified partner, and so that's been so much fun. We just actually had our conference today. So, would you like for me to share the 4 styles and how they work in your life?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, please, yeah.
Okay. So the D, and so for your listeners, just see if these things really describe you, then you might find yourself in 1 or 2 different areas, but there's definitely a couple that you'll say, no, that's not me. Okay. So go ahead and self-identify as we're going along. And then
okay, you want us to answer?
Well, I'll ask you as soon as we're done with the 4 types, we're going to talk about how to speed read your colleagues or your siblings or whoever you want.
Well, Maureen, let me just ask you before you begin. I want you to make sure that I end up in the good type. That's all I want. Okay. Whatever that is.
Lou, I guarantee you're in the best one.
Thank you, Maureen. Okay.
Oh my goodness, Lou.
Right. So obviously none of them are any better than any of the others.
Right.
But thanks for reminding me to say that. Okay. So the first one is the worst. No, I'm just kidding. The first one is D. It stands for dominance. And we all know these types, right? The people who are really firm Ds are very firm. They're very direct. They say what they mean. They're strong-willed. They strive. Yeah. They strive for results. They are results-oriented. These Ds they do have this strong will. They're forceful sometimes. And sometimes it could seem like they just want to get the task done and they don't care as much about the person that's doing the task. The task and the results are super important to your D types. And this is, again, when they're focused and they're in their natural style. All right. And the next one is the I. Now, the I stands for influencer or influence. And your I's are also, action oriented like the D's, but they're more people focused than task focused. And they are outgoing, enthusiastic, high spirited. These, they have a lot of, they're lively and they're friendly and talkative, and they're very, very out there in that way. They like to get people together and they love collaboration on teams. All right. And then we're going to go to the next one, which is the steadiness. But that's what the S stands for, steadiness. And your steadiness folks are more even-tempered and, excuse me, accommodating in their style. They're patient and humble and tactful, and they are very great resource people. They also are people focused and they like collaboration, but they want a stable environment. They don't like chaos or conflict, and they do I think of the S's as that duck across the pond that's just floating so nicely, and underneath their legs are going.
Yeah.
They get stuff done, and they are often the unsung heroes, right? They're great resource people. All right, so that's your S's. And the last one, but not least, is the C in DISC, and the C stands for conscientiousness. Now, the C style they're more, again, task focused than people focused, and they are analytical and reserved. These are your like engineers and professors and project manager types that are very precise, and they're systematic. They follow the rules. They also are great solution providers because they have a brain that thinks up, creative solutions, but they're very private people as far as their emotions. They keep their emotions close to their chest, and they don't also like conflict. They like things, they need deadlines, but they don't want to be rushed. Okay. They're very good in quality. They're super quality conscious. All right. So there you have your D's are direct, firm, strong-willed, forceful, and results-oriented. Your I's are outgoing, enthusiastic. That's the influencer, optimistic, high-spirited, lively, and very creative. Your S's steadiness is even-tempered, accommodating, patient, humble, tactful. And your conscientiousness style C is analytical, reserved, precise or accurate, private, and systematic. All right. So what do you think? Lou, let's start with you. Where do you think you fall?
I think without a doubt, I'm D, the dominant.
Yeah, see, I told you I wasn't joking.
It didn't sound like a nice thing either, Maureen, but anyway.
Well, but you guys get stuff done, right?
Yeah,
and
she gets stuff done.
But you can also influence your people to get stuff done too, because you have such a energy and you lead the way. You get past obstacles. People can come to you to solve problems. You have no problem making decisions. People,
that's right.
A lot of other types have problems making decisions, but you are like, bring me the problem, but bring me a couple of solutions and I will help you figure out which one, and we get this ball rolling.
But Maureen, but then when you work with people who are D, then what do you, how do you sort of advise them? Because certainly there are some positives, but I'm sure there are some negatives to that as well in the workplace.
Yeah, there definitely are, because so it's like anything else, right? If you really know yourself and what your tendencies are, then it's okay for you to take a step back sometimes and look at that and reflect and say, do I want to continue being like that? If I want to expand at work and influence more people, then I need to be a better listener.
Right.
I need to really go out and ask people what they think and not always just charge forward with and step on toes. And that way you're going to get a lot better input and people that will follow you because they'll feel heard. Right.
Right. Okay.
So I say for the extroverted types, which is the D and the I, you need to zip it more and listen better. And then for the C's and the S's, they're introverted mostly. They need to speak up more and let their voice be heard. So there is, though, when you work with a leadership team and you see how everybody falls on the disc map and everyone's like, oh, that's why you drive me crazy when you come into the meeting. It's very eye-opening. And now you don't have to take things like the S's sometimes have a tough time with the D's because they're very patient and humble and kind. And sometimes the D's come in or, they go in and they ask the D how they're doing. And the D looks up and basically says, what do you want? You're wasting my time. I don't need to hear.
Okay. Okay. I think she's laughing because she relates.
Okay.
What about you, Teresa? I want to know, what do you think you are?
Yes, so do I.
Lou, which one do you think I am?
No, don't try to get me in it.
No, I do believe that I'm between the influencer and conscientious. Yes.
So you know what? It's almost impossible to be a cross.
Is it really?
Yes, you're either an I or an IS or I think, you know what I think? I think you're an SC.
You do?
Yeah.
You do. But I'm very private.
Yes, you are.
I don't like conflict.
No,
she absolutely does not like conflict. So, Maureen, which one says does not like conflict?
That's
her.
Yep, your S's and your C's
right.
don't like it.
Right. Yeah. I'm very even-tempered. I am. That is true. And
let me share with you a quick way that you can help not only identify yourself, but
Okay.
identify others. So I want you to also get somebody in your mind, like even the listeners, think about your boss or your spouse. It doesn't matter, but somebody you know pretty well. That's not like your best friend, because usually they're the same types as you. But here's the question. Is this person, or are you more fast-paced and outgoing, or cautious and reflective? Fast-paced and outgoing, or cautious and reflective? So Lou, I'm thinking you're more fast-paced and outgoing. And
Really an
Teresa,
outgoing kind of person, though.
well, if you're a D, you're fast-paced.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then outgoing means you're going to move towards your goal.
Oh yeah. I
You're
thought
going to
you
get
meant
those
I'm-
results.
Okay, I'm thinking more
Social.
Maureen, like right,
No.
extrovert. Oh no, absolutely outgoing. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then would you say that you are more cautious and reflective, Teresa?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Mhm.
I am more fast-paced and outgoing. Just so, since
Mhm.
we're all typing each other. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next question is, are you more questioning and skeptical, or warm and accepting when it comes to other people? When
No,
you first
questioning.
meet somebody,
Questioning.
questioning and
Skeptical.
skeptical,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say, Teresa?
So what were the options?
Warm and accepting,
Mhm.
or questioning and skeptical?
Yeah.
Skeptical. Talking like more than 50% of the time, because everybody is both, right?
Yeah.
I definitely
what I
can
was
be
thinking.
questioning and skeptical, but are you more so, or are you more trusting and warm and friendly when you first meet people?
I think I am more warm and trusting.
That's why I called you an S, because I think you are too.
Mhm.
And that, and but I do think you have a lot of C. I think you're kind of on the line there,
Mhm.
SC or CS, but you have that. And I'm not sure about you, Lou. You might be a DC. What do you do for a living, or did you do?
Well, I was a government executive. I've always been, in management, the director, executive person in the
And
agency.
are you good with systems and processes, or do you rather have somebody else do the detail work?
Mhm. Usually
More high
somebody
level?
else. Yeah. Usually
Okay,
somebody
so
else
then you
does
probably fit right square in that D category. But you know, we obviously have all those things. I'm sure that there were times that,
Oh yeah.
you know,
When I had to do them. Yeah.
yep,
Mhm.
same with me. So as an
Yeah.
I'm an I, like my dot falls way almost on the outside of the edge, which means that I have a high propensity for that style. It's harder for me, but it doesn't mean I can't be precise. I have to do quality,
Right.
especially when I'm
So-
training.
Right.
So I see it like the Myers-Briggs. So like an introvert almost has to have some extroverted tendencies to exist in a collaborative office type space, right?
Well,
And no?
well, these are again our natural tendencies. So you're right, though. I think what you're saying, or your thought is, when I said earlier, if you are talking all the time, if you're an extrovert, then you need to learn to zip it and listen more. That's like, go within, let some other people talk once in a while and share the platform. If you're more, but so the introverted extroverted is a natural style for you. And we do have to get out of our comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
In order to grow, in order to be with our
Right.
colleagues, in order to do all
Right.
that, you
Right.
have to put your ideas out on the table. So even though you might not want to, or it's appropriate for you to do that sometimes. And that's the same thing with, I might be a big picture idea person all the time, but that doesn't mean I don't have to do spreadsheets and get down and dirty and do the detail work and read through and make sure that there's no typos and all of that. We have to get out of our comfort zone to do all of the things that we need to do in our job. But when you do know your style, it's a whole lot easier to go for your next position, or
Okay.
to decide how you want to reinvent yourself, if that's in fact what you want to do.
Mhm.
But Maureen, do you then do you meet people and make assessments and people are just very surprised at where they fall? Or do they sort of have an idea?
I think most people, especially if you're in any kind of leadership position, you know yourself,
Mhm.
yourself. But if you are so driven that you're never looking at that, then sometimes it
Mhm.
does come as a surprise. But
Right.
here's the thing, when you take the assessment, you take a 20-minute online assessment and you put your you put your work hat on and you think, how am I really at the office? How do I
Mhm.
behave? How do I think? How do I act? How have my relationships evolved? And so when you get your report back, every time, I got to tell you, every time, even the people that know themselves, they're reading this report and they're going, oh my God, this is scary. This is
Really?
scary, accurate.
Yeah.
And it's just right there on the paper because the way you answer the questions, it just tells you who you are. But
Mm.
again, it doesn't mean that you're in that box. It doesn't mean that you can't grow and expand out of that. It just means that now you have a starting point to understand what your natural strengths are, what your motivators are, what your stressors are.
Mhm.
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 Okay.
So,
If you,
wow.
I'm going to share one more
Mhm.
thing. On my website, I do
Mhm.
have a quiz that you
Okay.
can take that is just like 7 questions, and it's what animal best represents your leadership style, and it will
Mhm.
tell you whether you are a D, I, S, or C, and the animals that I picked out. What do you think I picked out for the D?
What were the choices again?
An animal.
An
So
animal.
if you were going to pick an animal to
Would it
represent,
be a lion?
that's close. I picked the wolf, because
Oh.
the wolf is always
Mm.
going out driving. They
Mm.
go over the obstacles, but they're always doing it for the betterment of the pack,
Mhm.
right? They get
Ah,
everybody together
yeah.
at the end of the
Mm.
day, and it's like,
Right.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
celebrate.
Yeah.
Okay. The I, or the influencer, I chose the dolphin because they're very chatty and
Mm.
friendly and constantly, high spirited, and they're also very family oriented.
Mhm.
For the S, I chose the Saint Bernard because they come to the rescue. They're super loyal. They don't leave your side. They're steady. They're, like the rock that sometimes
Mhm.
they need, and they're good listeners. Although in my world, there's no brandy in the little the little thing underneath there's
Yeah.
green tea instead.
I like
That's
that.
better for you. Yeah.
And then the C, I chose the beaver leader because the beaver creates a beautiful system and is very precision and puts that all the cuts and
Yeah,
everything
yeah, yeah.
together to
Yeah.
make a beautiful environment for the people. So
Mm.
anyways, if you want to go out, you can do that, and then you can learn more about DISC.
And okay, and that's on your website, right?
Yep, that's on my
Okay.
website. Yeah.
Okay.
emergeleadershipacademy.com.
Okay. Great. Well, Maureen, you just mentioned something I wanted to follow up on because for our listeners, I just wanted to hear a bit more about that. And that was you going to school when you were 40.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that because that's different. And did you have people wondering what is she doing? So talk to us a little bit. How did you make that decision? What was going on that you can share with us? Because many times people want to do things and they just think, you know what, I missed the boat on that one. But I want to talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it's not true. The boat is never, there's always another boat, you guys. There always is. There's another boat. You can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it. All right. So I'm going along in my career. I'm happily married. I have a child. And when she got to be about 12, actually, I know exactly what happened. It was the year 2000.
Mhm.
I thought I turned 40, and I never thought I was going to live past 40. And
Really?
it's a big backstory, but because I was such a bad addict and an alcoholic and things were so bad, I just remember thinking that so much growing up, like, I'm never going to make it to 40. I just never going to make it. Then I got sober and I got so into my life that I forgot about that belief that I had instilled in there. So when suddenly I got up to 40 and I turned 40, and then we turned into the year 2000, I was like, oh my God, I have my whole life ahead of me. What am I going to do? Am I going to just stay in this job? And it was, the answer was no, you need to go back and get your degree. I had about 1 year of college under my belt at that time. So I went back to school. I got my undergraduate in psychology, and then I decided to get my master's because I just love learning. I love learning. I can't get enough of it. And that's why I said, we're all lifelong learners, and I keep putting those kinds of experiences in my life. So I did. I got straight A's. I went to St. Joseph College in West Hartford, Connecticut, and I was the speaker at commencement.
Wow.
About leadership. Yeah. And then I graduated with a 4.0 with my master's.
Wow.
And that was at 48 years old. Right. So
Wow.
I'm 61 now.
Yeah, wow.
And I left and I started my own business, and you can just keep going and going and transitioning and changing, and it just never stops. And now I'm teaching other people how to live a much better life based on all the books I've read and all those, courses I've gone through. I've just taken the best of the best. That's what I'm hoping to communicate here.
Well, you have communicated that, and thank you for sharing it. And I want our audience to remember there's another boat. And if you need to be inspired,
that's right.
Listen to, Maureen and follow up on her story. So those are all of the questions we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to ask, though, before we end, do you have any parting words for our audience? Anything that you want to share?
I would say that if ever you're stuck, like in any kind of fear, or you're not sure what's holding you back, or you just want to get to that next level of understanding who you are, dig deeper. Like, don't give up. What you have between your brain and your mind, those thoughts, that's basically the only thing that you have control over. So if you start working on that and really tame that inner critic and are good to yourself, you can do whatever it is you want to, whatever you want to put your mind to. It's really true. But you have to work on that negative thinking, the inner critic, and all of that stuff. So but that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. You take good care.